Hi guys, I'm pretty sure it must be so amazing. So today we have to start our part 3 of digestion and absorption. I'm pretty sure you have seen part 1 and part 2. In case you have not watched those lectures yet, I am just giving you link in the description box of this video. You can check it. So today we will be seeing the digestive glands, right? So are you ready? So far we have done alimentary canal, we have seen histology, we have seen anatomy, and now we will be starting with the digestive glands, right? So when we talk about digestive glands, so obviously it includes first digestive gland that is present in the buccal cavity is the salivary gland. And we know that salivary glands actually associated with the buccal cavity, right? So obviously salivary gland present outside the buccal cavity, we will see the location, and via duct, via tube, they open in the buccal cavity actually. They pour its secretion in the buccal cavity and we will be seeing it. Those students who have not subscribed, I'm pretty sure all of you have subscribed the channel, and you can share it with your friends also, right? So yes, we will be seeing 3 pairs of salivary gland, and which are for notes, and for any doubts you can just join Telegram channel also. I have shared the link in the description box of this video, right? So parotid, sublingual, submaxillary, these are the 3 pairs of salivary gland which obviously secrete saliva, right? So we will be seeing all the salivary glands here, and as I have told you, these glands are situated outside the buccal cavity, like one parotid gland present in front of the ear, other one is present in submandibular, means in the jaw, sublingual present below the tongue, and they open in the buccal cavity via duct, right? So that means they are just present outside the buccal cavity and secrete salivary juices into the buccal cavity via duct, that we will be doing. So we are having 3 pairs of salivary gland, we know. One is submandibular, submaxillary, medium in size, and it is present at the jaw angle, as we can see in the diagram. So present at the angle of the lower jaw, जैसा कि diagram में दिख रहा है, and it will be opening in the buccal cavity via the Wharton's duct. So इस तरीके याद रखना है. M for mandibular, इसका opposite W, W for Wharton duct. So obviously its duct name is Wharton duct that secrete the saliva directly in the buccal cavity. And what is the secretion of submandibular gland? So we know it secrete maximum saliva having fluid part, plus it will be having water, it secrete mucus, that you have to remember, means fluid part में saliva में क्या होगा, water, mucus. So maximum water secretion, mucus part secreted by submandibular region. Sublingual is the smallest salivary gland, and yes, it is present below the tongue. And इसकी जो duct है, that is the Rivinus. So RS, rupees. So you can learn it this way, Rivinus sublingual duct, right? So Rivinus duct is basically of sublingual salivary gland, and which it secretes salivary amylase, which is actually enzyme, and mucus also secreted by it. Parotid, which is present in front and below the ear, as I have shown you diagram, it's the largest salivary gland, and its duct is the Stenson's duct via which it will pour its secretion in the buccal cavity, and it secretes maximum enzyme, that is about 80 to 85% enzyme is secreted by parotid itself. So salivary amylase is the enzyme which present in our mouth for starch digestion, because I have told you food that we are eating, roti, we are eating rice, so they are having starch, and starch will be digested by salivary amylase in buccal cavity itself. So yes, saliva have salivary amylase, which you have to remember. Now if we talk about mumps, so it's a disease of parotid inflammation. Parotid gland, you know, parotid salivary gland. So it's a viral infection of the parotid salivary gland, also known as parotitis. So parotid के लिए paroti, and itis term is for inflammation. So yes, wherever itis term is written in the suffix, तो समझ जाना itis term is related to inflammation. So means it is the inflammation of parotid salivary gland, right? Swelling of the cheek happen, and obviously difficulty in swallowing food, pain happen because of the pain. and it cause infertility in male also. You know why? Because the lymphatic duct connected to parotid gland, and the same lymphatic duct enter the testes, and yes, that infection enter testes via that lymphatic duct and cause no spermatogenesis and hence इनफर्टिलिटी इन मेल. सो पैरोटिड जो है वो खतरनाक है, राइट? सो इट कैन जस्ट डैमेज द टेस्टीज ऑल्सो and no sperm formation will happen. Now we will be seeing that how the salivary secretion controlled by brain, right? So obviously it is controlled by medulla part. Autonomic nervous system means medulla say some nerves arise, which is obviously the part of autonomic nervous system that we will see in the nervous system part, right? So autonomic means it will basically control the salivary secretion here, right? So which is not in our control obviously. So whenever we see food, ultimately like saliva will come out of mouth, right? Come out in buccal cavity. So parasympathetic jo hai, it will parasympathetic. So autonomic nervous system are of two type. One is the parasympathetic and second is sympathetic. So basically one will increase the saliva secretion, another will decrease the saliva secretion. So sympathetic actually reduce the saliva secretion, parasympathetic increase saliva secretion. That we will be seeing in the nervous part also. है ना? क्यों ऐसा होता है? We will be seeing in the nervous part also. So इसलिए because sympathetic mainly our body, you know, when we are in stress, when we are in emergency condition. So in that condition, you know, our body has to slow down the work of digestive system. And our body has to increase the function of the muscular system because we have to flight. अब suppose you know there is a dog after you, so what you will do? Your body will be in stress. Your body will be in emergency condition, and in that case, sympathetic for S for sympathetic, S for stress. So in stress condition, your digestive system, your digestive glands will stop working for some time, right? Will reduce its function. So hence our mouth get dried up that time, है ना? So obviously sympathetic nervous system reduce the saliva secretion, parasympathetic increase the saliva secretion. So suppose when we are relaxing, so in that case obviously saliva will be secreted for the normal digestion, right? So these the same point we will be doing in the nervous system also. Now I will tell you the like composition of saliva which is secreted by salivary gland. So now we will be seeing its composition, which is again important for the NEET exam, right? So its pH is 6.8, and you know I will be sending you previous year questions also in the Telegram channel, so stay connected there. जितने भी क्वेश्चन यहाँ से पूछे हुए हैं इस पूरे चैप्टर से, तो आई विल बी शेयरिंग इट विद यू सो दैट यू विल बी सॉल्विंग दोज डाउट्स, राइट? So pH 6.8, daily secretion is 1 to 1.5 liters saliva we secrete daily. Composition will be water, mucus for lubrication. It is having enzymes, starch digesting enzymes, salivary amylase, also known as ptyalin, right? Lysozyme, thiocyanate ion, these are antibacterial agent, means it will kill bacteria and prevent infection of bacteria obviously, right? Plus it will be having IgA, which is type of antibody and which help in defense, we know already, right? So antibody will help in our defense system, that you have to remember. And obviously it is containing electrolyte like sodium ion, chloride ion, these electrolyte bicarbonate ion. So bicarbonate ion actually neutralize acidic food in our mouth so that it will, you know, the salivary amylase can work on it, because salivary amylase will work at 6.8 pH, right? So neutralization is done by this bicarbonate ion. Chloride ion is actually cofactor. Cofactor means it is basically required for the activity of salivary amylase, right? So cofactor of ptyalin, तो बेटा ptyalin का cofactor है. That means salivary amylase require chloride ion for activity, for activation. So cofactor means it will activate salivary amylase, it will make the salivary amylase functional. That is a function of it, right? And this is the NEET question. Mumps is a viral infection of dash gland, and you should know it. So obviously write down answer in the comment box, right? So what will be the answer here, and we will be discussing it. So next is amount of saliva secreted. Again, this is the NEET question. Secreted daily in human is 250 ml, 500, 750,000. What will be the answer? You will be writing it in the chat box, comment box, because I have already told you number, right? So next is gastric gland, means now we will be seeing the glands present in the stomach. Esophagus have no gland which secrete enzyme for digestion. So we will be not covering esophagus. Esophagus have some mucus cell that secrete mucus, lubricate food, that's all. It doesn't have any enzyme for digestion of the food, right? But gastric gland means associated with the stomach. So which are this gland associated with the stomach? You have to remember. And yes, it is having various cell which basically secrete obviously enzymes, right? So it is having peptic cell. As the name suggests, it will secrete pepsinogen. And obviously gen, wherever gen suffix is written, means inactive. Pro, so in which enzyme pro is written in prefix means inactive. So these two enzymes are inactive form. So obviously, chief cell, peptic cell, zymogenic cell are same. Zymogen means inactive enzyme. So it is the zymogen cell which secrete inactive enzyme. Plus, it will be secreting gastric amylase in little amount, gastric lipase in little amount, right? What is its purpose? We will be seeing. So these two enzymes also secreted by this cell in a very little amount, right? Goblet cell obviously secrete mucus, OP, oxyntic parietal cell secrete HCl, and Castle intrinsic factor, and another one is the argentophin cell, which actually endocrine cell. So matlab it will be secreting, these hormones, serotonin and somatostatin. And you know what? These three cell actually secrete gastric juice. है ना, तो इनको मिलकर बनता है gastric juice. And what is the pH of gastric juice? That we will be seeing. So gastric glands, wherever you see the term gastric, gastro and all, so gastric, gastro term related to stomach only. So that you have to remember. And yes, it will be secreting gastric juice. I have told you those three cells secreting digestive juice having very highly acidic pH, low pH, 1.2 to 2.8 pH. Now you can imagine, so acidic because it has HCl. So HCl make it so acidic that you have to remember, right? Now I'll be taking you ahead. We will be seeing chief cell, peptic cell, zymogenic cell first, and I'll be telling you all the things in detail, right? So let's start with the pehla cell of the this gastric gland. So first cell of the gastric gland is chief cell, peptic cell, zymogenic cell. And zymogen is actually secrete inactive enzyme, means not activated at all, like pepsinogen, like prorenin and chymosin. So prorenin also known as chymosin. And remember, this renin actually have double N. So double N wala renin will be here. And single N wala renin we will use in kidney. So obviously there is the difference. This is enzyme, that is the hormone that we will be seeing, right? So prorenin or chymosin is basically the same name. Pro means inactive, gen means inactive. So it will be secreting inactive enzyme. So chief cell secrete zymogen means inactive enzyme, and this prorenin will be secreted only in the infants as per our NCERT. It is only secreted by infants. मतलब बच्चे इसको secrete करेंगे, like less than 6 months, right? Those are infants, less than 6 months of age. Gastric amylase is the another enzyme secreted by the chief cell, but I have told you it will be secreted in very small amount and it remains inactive. It remains inactive because it requires at least more than 6 pH. But obviously in stomach, there is very high acidic pH like 1.2 to 2.8, which is very, very, very acidic. So it remains inactive. Gastric lipase ke upar they have asked question in medical. So only act on some components of fat. So it will be digesting only some component of fat, not all the fat, right? So that you have to remember, only some component, very little amount of fat is digested. And yes, the same way, and which are C, I am telling you digestive gland first and then we will be starting physiology part. तो जो भी चीजें हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, whatever we are discussing here, you have to come prepared, you have to revise all the things so that you can relate it with those physiology part, right? So you will be revising all the things nicely, thoroughly. And yes, as I have told you, whatever I'm telling you, so after learning from it, after seeing the video lectures, just go through any of the question from any of the modules. That is ma'am's promise to you, that you will be able to solve each and every questions, right? So maximum question will be done. So, but you have to listen to me very nicely, okay? So mucus, goblet cell, neck cell are same, which secrete mucus. And what is the purpose of mucus? Obviously, it will protect mucosal line. It will protect inner lining of the stomach for excoriation from the degradation of HCl, because we know gastric juice also have HCl. And the last cell and the next cell is the parietal oxyntic cell, which secrete HCl obviously. So parietal or oxyntic cells secrete HCl, which you have to remember, which is antibacterial, plus it will activate zymogen protein like zymogen enzyme like pepsinogen into pepsin, and same way prorenin into renin. So it will be activating enzyme, which you have to remember. Plus it will stop the amylase activity, and it provide acidic medium for the activity of proteases, which you have to remember. So it will basically provide acidic medium for the activity of proteases, means protein digesting enzyme. And we know pepsin and renin both are protein digesting enzyme. Plus HCl also reduce ferric iron. Where ferric iron is present, food that we are eating have the iron in this form, and this form will be reduced into the ferrous iron. And obviously we know this is the absorbable form, means our body can absorb it very nicely. So it will reduce ferric iron into ferrous iron, which is the absorbable form. You have to remember it, right? So let me take you ahead. What will happen when there is the deficiency of HCl? HCl happen, right? So that will cause achlorhydria. Achlorhydria means absence of HCl. When there is absence of HCl, obviously no reduction of iron, ferric iron into ferrous iron, no absorption of iron will be happening from our body, because absorb होने के लिए it has to convert it into in this form. And as it is not converted it into this form, so no absorption of iron, and deficiency of iron cause decrease hemoglobin. So we know that iron form hemoglobin, so obviously there will be low amount of hemoglobin in the body, and RBCs occupy hemoglobin. तो अब RBC में hemoglobin की कमी हो गई, so there is the less hemoglobin now. That means RBCs remain very small in size. And you know what? When there is abnormally small size RBCs present, WBC will be like, oh, this is not normal RBC, I will just eat it. And WBC will start attacking RBC, abnormal small RBCs. And what will happen? It will cause iron deficiency anemia. Because of iron, anemia happen. And also known as microcytic anemia. So can you use your brain why it is called microcytic anemia? Just because it is small in size, RBC is small in size, cytic means cell anemia. So it will be causing microcytic anemia. Cell become less in size, small in size, WBC phagocytoses it, have eaten it up. Now what will happen? Deficiency anemia, right? And you know what? What is the gastrectomy? So Tommy term is related to surgical removal of any organ. Gastro means stomach, Tommy means removal. So gastrectomy means surgical removal of stomach in case of inflammation. Some inflammation happen which cannot be corrected, and in that ways we have to do this. So sad. Now the second factor secreted by the OP cell, oxyntic parietal cell, will be Castle intrinsic factor. So देखो peptic cell pepsinogen से related है, and parietal cell related to this HCl and CIF, that is the Castle intrinsic factor. And what is the purpose of it? It will absorb vitamin B12, or also known as cyanocobalamin. Vitamin B12, cyanocobalamin or Castle intrinsic factor, तो बच्चा these are basically absorbed by this Castle intrinsic factor. So vitamin B12 का मतलब scientific chemical name is cyanocobalamin or also known as Cas extrinsic factor. So this vitamin B12 is actually synthesized by E. coli and it is required for RBC's maturation. You have to remember it is required for maturation of RBCs by removing nucleus. So enucleated say. At the time of maturation, we know that RBC remove its nucleus. And obviously, in order to mature RBC, we have to release nucleus. We have to remove its nucleus and then hence it will undergo maturation process. Same thing we have done it. Same thing we have done here, right? So now what we will see that when there is a deficiency of vitamin B12 or Castle extrinsic factor, जब vitamin B12 नहीं होगा, there will be no loss of the nucleus, and when there is no loss of nucleus, RBC के अंदर nucleus रह जाएगा, it will remain in the RBC. RBC become abnormally large in size. The same story will repeat. WBC will feel, oh, this is so abnormal RBC. Now what I will do? I will kill it. So it will start phagocyting this abnormally large RBC and it will cause pernicious anemia or macrocytic anemia. Why? Because RBC become huge, abnormally large in size and it is killed now. It is phagocytosis by WBC now. So, indirectly they have asked question in NEET also that, like which cell is related to the anemia indirectly. So obviously HCl, parietal cell, is basically related to it. Because parietal cell secreting both the factor which can, the deficiency of those particularly can cause this anemia, right? So this question they have asked. Argentophin cell, and bacha see, they have shown varieties of cell here, right? So यहाँ पर they are showing varieties of cell here, which you can see. So next we are seeing the argentophin cell, which will secrete somatostatin and serotonin cell. Somatostatin is always inhibitory hormone, so it will inhibit digestive activity. And serotonin actually act as vasoconstrictor, which will basically stimulate. Vaso means blood vessel constrictor. So it will constrict blood vessels, plus it will stimulate smooth muscle for contraction. So smooth muscle, which is not in our control, so it is the muscle of alimentary canal, will be stimulated by it, right? Now the third gland, let's go towards the intestine. And after this, we will be seeing the pancreas and liver also, right? Which is again, we will be doing in the next part. So intestinal gland present in small intestine. And remember, when we talk about a small intestinal gland, so obviously it is associated with mainly small intestine, not large, because large don't help in digestion because they don't have any gland for enzyme secretion. Only mucus gland they are having, but not any enzyme secreting gland. So we will be seeing only small gland, right? Small intestine gland, and it is having pH 8.6. So there are having two structure. One is the crypt, as I have told you. What is the crypt of LIEBERKUHN? This is villi, and base of villi have some grooves, and this grooves is crypt of LIEBERKUHN. So this crypt of LIEBERKUHN actually have certain cells, and this cell will help in secreting intestinal juices. That we will see. And Brunner's gland, I have told you exception about it. NEET question. So this question has been asked in medical, obviously NEET like question paper. So you have to remember Brunner's gland present in the submucosa layer. So obviously submucosa present below the mucus, है ना? तो ये है submucosa layer. So here it is present. Brunner's gland present in submucosa layer. And this is the only gland of digestive system which is present in submucosa layer. So hence it is known as submucosal gland. It is present, it is the only digestive gland which present in the submucosa layer, and it is mainly present in duodenum part of small intestine. It will secrete mucus and alkaline mucus which provide alkalinity to food, because food that is coming from stomach will be acidic and we have to neutralize it. So for that neutralization, of the acidity of chyme. Chyme means acidic food that is coming from stomach. So chyme is the food, acidic food in stomach. So that is known as chyme, which you have to remember. Like bolus, the food that is present in mouth called bolus. Same, this food mixed with the acidic juice of the gastric glands is basically known as chyme, right? And plus it will be secreting enzyme also. And when we talk about crypts, so I have told you villi and crypt in the previous class also. So they are having this crypts obviously. Here base of the villi have the crypts. Crypts means grooves. And they are having such cell, Paneth cell, which secrete lysozyme and obviously help in the phagocytosis, right? So it is phagocyte cell, act as phagocyte and lysozyme secretion cell. Goblet cell secrete mucus for lubrication. Entero related term for intestine. So entero, wherever you see the term enteric, entero related to intestine, it will be secreting intestinal enzyme. And argentophin cell we have already done in the stomach also. So here also they have same function, serotonin, somatostatin secrete karega. And we have done function in the stomach part. And you know what is the function now. So you can see different cell here. We are having Paneth cell. We are having this, different, goblet cell. So we are having the other like enterocyte cell which secrete enzyme here in this crypts, in these spaces, right? So obviously these are secretory part. And we will be seeing that obviously the composition of these glands, composition of these cell is the intestinal juice, also known as SUCCUS entericus. So what is the pH? pH is 8.6 of the intestinal juice or SUCCUS entericus. And obviously, so it will be secreting these enzymes. So first enzyme is entero. Entero means intestine kinase. Actually, it will activate inactive pancreatic enzyme. So one pancreatic enzyme known as trypsinogen, which is secreted by pancreas in inactive form. And you know what? Intestine not only contain its own hormone, intestine means small intestine, not contain only its hormone, plus apart from the apart from its own enzyme, it is also receiving enzyme, it is also receiving juices from pancreas and liver. So small intestine contain juices of its own gland, juices of intestinal gland, pancreas and liver. So pancreas and liver also secrete its juices here in the small intestine. So जो trypsinogen है in active form will be activated by enterokinase, and it is not having any direct role in digestion, but indirectly it is activating trypsinogen into trypsin. So indirectly it has role, but directly कोई role नहीं है digestion में, right? Second, carbohydrates. So it is the carbohydrate digestion enzyme. So you can learn it with this mnemonic smile dena de lina, right? So S for sucrase, or also known as invertase enzyme, which will act on sucrose and break down sucrose sugar. M for maltase, maltase will break down maltose enzyme. Isomaltase, I for isomaltase, break down isomaltose. L for lactase, break down lactose sugar from the milk. E for enterokinase, that we have already done. D for dextrinase, that we have already done. Li for lipases, and lipases obviously fat digesting intestinal juices will be there in the intestinal juice. P for proteases, and obviously proteases are protein digesting enzyme having aminopeptidase, having dipeptidase, which you have to remember. So aminopeptidase, dipeptidase are protein digesting enzyme which convert the protein into amino acid obviously. Nucleotidase, we know that our DNA, RNA is basically having the single unit nucleotide. So that nucleotide actually broken down by the nucleotidase. So we know that DNA ka single unit is nucleotide, which is made up of sugar, nitrogenous base and phosphate. We already know it. So obviously what it will do, it will just release the phosphate group and abhi sugar and nitrogenous base are still together, right? So obviously these two things together known as nucleoside. And now nucleoside will be broken down by nucleosidases. So finally pentose sugar and nitrogenous base will be separated. So this is basically how intestinal juices will basically functioning, right? And this is the NEET question. Then nucleotidase and nucleosidase of which glands enzyme. So intestinal juices, it is the composition of intestinal juices. So these are the question, and which you have to remember all these enzymes very nicely, because in the next class in physiology part I will tell you function very nicely. And if you will read this chapter sequentially, I'm pretty sure you will never be confused while solving any question, right? So hum khichdi nahi pakayenge, we will do all the thing very nicely. So which of the following has minimum pH, means acidic pH? So you know I have already told you the pH of all gland, and you will be telling me which one have the very less pH. And thanks a lot. So which are part 4 mein we will continue with the liver, we will continue with the pancreas and physiology part. So part 4 and part 5 mein we will just complete whole chapter of digestion. Plus I will send you previous year questions with you. You are solving them after reading the notes, right? And plus if you are having any module, if you are having any question, you can solve those questions very nicely. I'm pretty sure after reading these notes, read NCERT, each and every line will be very much into your head. That is my promise to you, right? And I hope you like the video. Share it with your friends. Write down in the comment box, and if you have any suggestion, and which are those students who have not seen the part 1, part 2, I have just given the link in description box so you can watch it, right? So bye-bye, have a great day. See you all in the next class. Bye-bye, have a great day, and see you all. I'm pretty sure you have subscribed the channel, share it with your friends, and see you all with the part 4 and part 5 also.